strategy again. Cross your arms over your chest. Right? So I think I make a backswing. Now separate the stick. So that's separate. Now try to catch it with your chest, with the glove. Right? See that?
Yeah.
You see how you're still in your posture? We'll do that again. One, separate, and then go. And I thought that was a good question that you asked about, like, what do your arms get like? So if this separates, I mean, the club's going to start to fall and shallow, right? And I wouldn't be overly concerned, like, oh, is it shallow or whatever? Like, I mean, if the ball's going where the hell you want it, right? But I think, like, if you were to say, like, hey, what's keeping me from getting better more of the time, I would say that you've done amazing back here. I think you've got to make sure this whole foot stays on the ground. You want to have separation between your upper and lower, because I think it starts with, if that foot gets off the ground, what do you have to do? You've got to put the foot back on the ground. So when I take the foot off the ground, I put it back, everything goes together. What's the club do? It gets steep, right? So
is it going out? Is it going like that?
Yeah, and I think, look, some of that is, look, I made your ass really work hard on the tournament, get back, right? And that's like a way to cheat it. Think about it, you just drove 2 hours, so you're probably a hair tighter in the hip, right, than you would have been at the 4-ball when you're doing your warm-up and your exercises and all that. But, like, I also want you to start understanding, hey, okay, what causes it, right? Like, so if I get off my foot, then I've got to put my foot back on and upper and lower go together. But if I'm into my whole foot, so make a backswing. Now that whole foot's on the ground. Now you can push, with that foot, you can push this hip to separate. Feel that? Go back to the top. Now let you roll over on the side of your right foot. Now, how hard is that to do? I mean, right? You're either going to slide or you're going to lean into it, right? So I think that's a big deal for you. I think understanding what causes the club to be is as important as trying to fix it. And so I think if you get back there and the whole foot's on the ground, then you can push with this right foot. And if I push with this right foot, that hip goes out of the way. And once that hip's separated, then my upper body just releases. So go slow and do a few, or think through it. Bugs. So that's turned and structured. There you go. Now you separate. Good. So more solid, I'd say, right?
That was center for sure.
So the club is shifted more into out. Okay, which tells you it's challenging, right? And you just gotta, now you gotta learn that once you get there, it's gotta keep up. I also think that you tend to, every now and then, you get this right foot, I think it's less than 90 degrees slightly, right? So what's that going to do? That's going to restrict that, right? So in trying to get back, you're going to have to release some of the pressure. But I think if you get this at 90 degrees, and as I turn, I keep my whole foot against the ground. That big right toe stays against the ground, and you can see it on the swing catalyst. The pressure on the foot got,
too much
more.
outside.
Yeah, on the first one's too much outside, but you can see that that's getting. Look up there and make a backswing, and just keep that. There you go. See the pressure on the whole foot, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now do that and hit it. Perfect.
Better.
Mm-hmm. More online, correct?
Yeah, that's what
Pretty good.
yeah.
Again. So like your checkpoints, I think you have the things, which like, so that's perfect, right? You know when your setup deal is a big deal. Okay, and so from there, it's keeping the whole right foot on the ground. And then separation between your lower and upper. So what's that look like? And then your upper's trying to catch you lower and it keeps going through. Striped, right? So what felt different with that versus where we started?
I think the backswing felt a lot different. I like flaring that foot a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me get into the inside of the right foot a little easier. And then yeah, just trying to feel like my upper body stayed a little closed a little longer, and the lower body kind of separated from like the alignment stick, got farther away from me.
That's a good visual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Right? And I think if you do that when you're practicing, I think the more ways you give you to practice, so we go back to the stick up the ass drill.
Yeah.
Right? Don't show this in public. Now cross your arms over your chest again and do that drill a couple times. There you go. So separate, now catch up. That's it. Again. Separate, catch up. But I think the interesting thing is, like, you came in and you talked about trying to shallow, right? But really, what's fixed or made the club start shallowing is by something in your backswing, right?
Yeah.
The steepness is a result. It's an effect. It's the effect.
Right. And just so I understand it fully, like so when I'm at the top here, pressure's a little bit on the inside of this foot. When I separate, is it like the weight's going into that left foot too?
Yeah. So like if you push off that right foot, isn't it going over there?
Yeah.
And that's that pressure shift we talked about, what, 1 or 2 lessons ago, right?
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. That's beautiful. And that was probably your best, by far the best contact of the day.
No, I really like the little draw.
Different, right?
Mm-hmm.